exemplary show from TNA, from Impact Wrestling. It's now time to talk about WWE's Hell in a Cell, which is tomorrow night on pay-per-view on the WWE Network. I'm Damian Nelson here from the PWR Studios. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, Periscope via Twitter. And I'm joined by one David Octavius, the Tiberius, the alleged backyard, knockout, straight edge, hardcore, Hall of Famer hero, and the super of the Super Show, the super of the superheroes, and the super of the analysts, Shane Hurricane Helms. Boys, how you doing here on a Saturday night?
Just finished a hot pay-per-view. How can you not be jacked up to talk about another pay-per-view?
I'm not sure it's going to be as hot, though, but yes, we are going to talk about another pay-per-view.
It's Helms in a Cell. Of course it's going to be.
Helms in a Cell, baby. Helms in a Cell.
Well, boys, let's get right down to it and talk about Hell in a Cell, which is on the WWE Network. And this is a pay-per-view that generally does deliver. However, it also delivers a diminished effect of the Hell in a Cell match, not just because there's no longer any blood in WWE, but when you have so many of them and you have to plan for them on an annual basis, the spontaneity of the match in the past goes away. But we do know of 4 main matches that will occur on the card, and 2 of them will be in Hell in a Cell. 3 of them actually will be in Hell in a Cell, and one of them has an additional stipulation. Speaking of stipulations, I think we need to pepper in a little bit of Halloween Havoc here tonight, which comes up Wednesday on NXT, which we'll do as well. But first, a returning Elias this past week on WWE TV gets a match with Jeff Hardy. Remember back in the day, it was Jeff Hardy who ran Elias over in the car and had the accident outside the Performance Center, or the Capital Wrestling Center now. But these two will go head-to-head on Hell in a Cell tomorrow in a matchup. Dave Hero, how would you book this and why?
Why can't this match be on Raw? Why does it have to be on the pay-per-view?
Well, it's Elias's big return. It's been a long-awaited return from injury, and now
what it is, though, with Elias, for me, I think he's lost a lot of his luster, a lot of whatever he had going for him in the past. I don't think it's there right now.
Okay.
So that being said, I guess I'd have to book Elias to beat Jeff Hardy. Because if you're going to bring him back, he's got to do something special, something big to get some heat on him, because he really doesn't have any heat on him. He looks silly for thinking that Jeff Hardy hit him with the car when everyone knows it was Sheamus. So, I'm going to go with Elias just because I want to get through this match.
All right, Shane, Jeff Hardy and Elias. How would you book it?
Probably I wouldn't, but
that again.
Yeah, sometimes that's the best answer. Both of these guys need to win this match. Elias, he's coming back. He needs to get some steam underneath him, but Jeff he just lost the Intercontinental title. Do we need to see him lose another high-profile match? Yeah, it might not hurt Jeff Hardy. People are always going to love him, but I guess that Elias does need this win a little bit more, so I'm going to go with Elias.
Before we go any further, looking at this show for tomorrow night, for Sunday night, lazier. There's not one match on this run sheet that you sent me, Damien, that I'm thinking, I cannot wait to see this match.
Oh, there's one.
There's one for me, and that's it. And if we talk about, I know we talked about last night's show, how excited we were for Bound for Glory. There were so many matches where I'm like, man, I'm looking forward to seeing this. And it's a shame that on a pay-per-view of this magnitude, Hell in a Cell, which is, of course, an iconic match, that there just isn't that interest around it. And two, WWE also has their personnel issues. Because if we're talking about Jeff Hardy and Elias, they should be teaming. That would be a fantastic team. Jeff's got a band. Elias plays the music. You can't find the story there. He plays the guitar. You can't find the story right there. They would have some commonality involved. And we're sorely lacking in tag teams. That would be a really good deal. Maybe this match can lead to that. I don't know. Maybe just shenanigans and they team up at the end. And you get I don't know. Something.
That's a good point, Shane. Maybe
the Rock and Wrestling connection. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Maybe we do get there. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, WWE has never acknowledged Jeff Hardy's musical side job, if you will, right? TNA did, but I don't think WWE ever has.
I don't know. I don't know if they have or not.
But my problem with the show is you have 3 Hell in a Cell matches. So by the time we get to the third one, it's just basically another match. Because
is this a Hell in a Cell match?
Jeff Hardy and Elias is not.
No.
There are 3.
But there's 3 of them. There's 3 Hell in a Cell matches, and it just makes the spectacle no longer a spectacle when you're going to see it, for maybe an hour and a half of the night.
That's 3 hells.
Yeah.
That's way too many hells.
Yeah.
I'll be damned. Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
the first of 3 hells will be for the SmackDown Women's Championship, as Bayley will defend against Sasha. And this, to the point of what you were just saying, Dave, this is one I'm actually looking forward to because this has been a tremendous story. However, Shane, you go first in this scenario.
Yeah. Let me retract, because I am looking forward to this one as well. You're absolutely correct. I think these 2 are going to go out there and probably put on the match of the night. For personal reasons, they work well together. They have that inside them. They want to steal the show, and if they're allowed, they definitely have the potential to do so. It might be time for Sasha Banks to finally get that big. Or, I mean, not like she's never had another big W. It might be time for her, but man, Bayley's run, it's been so great. It's been one of those ones that I'm not quite ready to see it in. When are you going to be ready to see it in? I don't know, but I've just been so impressed with her that I wouldn't be opposed to either one winning. I'm not against either one winning. I guess I'm leaning a little bit more toward Bayley because I feel like the championship just means so much because of the longevity of this title run. And that's sorely missing in this entire industry right now. I think she's got one of the longest run. I think she's about to break my SmackDown run, which was 385 days. So if she breaks that, I'm all for that. I have no problem with that whatsoever. So I love those long runs. Make those championships mean something because that's missing. But that being said, it does feel like Sasha too. It could be her time. I don't know. This was a toss-up, Dave.
Isn't that the best of scenarios, though? You don't want to know who's going to win. You don't really. I'm sorry. You care who's going to win, but it could be either, and that makes it. You're more emotionally invested, I think, at that point.
Yeah, I don't want either one of these to lose. That's and that makes it tough.
Yeah. I mean, you have to ask yourself, where is more money going to be drawn? If it's me, if they say, hey, this is your match to put together, I'm going to have Bayley show the most vicious, the most violent side she's ever shown, to the point where people question her sanity. Like, you just destroyed at one time your best friend, and she leaves the Hell in a Cell, the most dominant SmackDown Women's champ of all time, and leaves Sasha Banks laying. So then eventually when Sasha Banks does come back 2 or 3 or 4 months from now as the Spirit of 76, it means that much more, where it could possibly be at the Royal Rumble where she gets her return match against Bayley, and could very well be in front of a crowd. And just imagine the reaction the crowd would be when Sasha Banks finally defeats and takes the title from the evil, dastardly Bayley. But if it's me booking this, I'm going to have Bayley destroy Sasha Banks in the Hell in a Cell, and then eventually have the rematch down the road. I also could see Sasha Banks winning. It's a coin flip, but I'm going to go with Bayley on this one.
All right, the next matchup, one where it will be,
because he's going with Bayley, I'm going with Sasha.
All right.
Because also she's got the Mandalorian coming up.
Split decision there, and that's a great
that's right. She does.
But the next matchup, it's one that seems like it actually has its place in the Hell in a Cell structure, because this is their third match after a singles match and an ambulance match. It will be Drew McIntyre defending his championship against Randy Orton. This will be in Hell in a Cell, as I mentioned. The championship will be on the line. Dave, how and why would you book this match?
I was really excited when the first match between Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre happened. Was that at SummerSlam? Is that right?
Yes.
I'm like, this is going to be fantastic. It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. And it just seems, I don't know what it is. It's maybe because of how TV comes across. It just seems like it has dragged on. It's like it's the match I wanted more than anything to see, but each match for me hasn't lived up to the hype. You got to go with Drew McIntyre on the third time, and just be done. Because, if Drew was the challenger chasing Randy on the third try, I could see him winning it. But Drew McIntyre needs to have a win in this Hell in a Cell. Randy Orton already has those victories. Randy Orton is like Jeff Hardy. He can lose and it's not going to matter. I think Drew McIntyre needs to go over strong on Randy Orton to elevate him to that next level.
All right, Shane, how about you? How would you book it?
Yeah, I mean, if we've stuck with Drew this far into this pandemic, I think we got to see him all the way to the finish, because he deserves to be the champion in front of an audience. And so, yeah, I'm with David a little bit on that. I think they're going to tear it up. But I think it's going to be competitive. I think it'll be a definitive win, but I think Randy's going to have his moments. And win or lose, we'll see these two again at some point. It's just they're the two of the top guys on a depleted roster. We're going to see them again. This ain't going to be the last time. But I see Drew going over.
Well, the next match, the next Hell in a Cell matchup is also an I Quit match. And again, this one tends to make a little bit of sense because you've got intense drama between the two competitors. Roman Reigns defending the Universal Championship against his cousin, Jey Uso. This isn't their first match, but this will be hopefully as intense as their previous contests. I'm looking forward to this one as I am the Bayley Sasha Hell in a Cell matchup. This should be good. They've got the emotion there. They've got the reason to be in the cell. How will it go, though, is the question. Shane, how would you do it?
I think we're going to go to you first. let's get Damian Nelson's opinion.
Oh, yeah. Good luck with that.
Well, Jimmy's back. It's an I Quit match. It's in Hell in a Cell. We've seen outside interference in Hell in a Cell matchups before. This has to go somewhere for the Usos when it's all said and done, in my opinion. Roman Reigns is not able to, he won't suffer any damage from whatever happens in this matchup. Will he lose the championship? I don't think so at all. But what do you do with the Usos after this? The promos have been passionate. The feeling, the emotion has been passionate. And quite frankly, the Usos have been that damn good for a very long time. Okay. But now I think more people are realizing it based on this story, this real story, very real feeling story with Roman Reigns, who has now become the heel that everybody wanted him to be and be aligned with Paul Heyman as well. There is so much momentum behind every player in this situation that you look at what's next for Roman. What happens when Brock comes back? Is Brock happy that Paul Heyman has another advocate or client, if you will? Is that where we go from here? If so, where do the Usos go from there? Do they all align together? Does Roman come back as a good guy and now he and his family are all in this together? Is The Rock going to be involved? The answers are not clear, which I think is great, which means the outcome to this match is also not clear. You could see the championship change hands. I doubt it very seriously. Next, we go into the Survivor Series from here, right? You got team situations that could occur at that event. The possibilities are endless. So I'm not picking nobody, but I am very intrigued by what can happen going forward from this match, which is exactly, as we talked about with Jeff Hardy and Elias, what we should want to have.
I think 100% Roman Reigns. There's no way in a million years he's going to say I quit. It's going to be Roman Reigns. It's going to be violent. It's going to be nasty. Slight possibility of a swerve with the other Uso being the one that says I quit and it not being the one. That's just a little idea that popped in my head. Just lobbing that out there for the universe. But also Roman staking his claim as the tribal chief. This is kind of like the Wakanda thing, where you fight to the death, and then the king is crowned at the end. and then maybe the Usos join back with him because of that. They could tie into that somehow. But Roman Reigns is the guy. He's going to be the guy for a while. No way he says I quit.
I have a question, Shane. I think that's a good pick. But you brought up Wakanda, T'Challa, Black Panther. I recently saw that perhaps they're going to try to finish the sequel with a CGI version of Chadwick Brosnan, T'Challa. How do you guys feel about that? And have you heard the same thing?
Oh, I didn't hear that at all. Chadwick Boseman. I don't know. If they can do it and it looks realistic, yeah, but at the same time, it's going to be weird because I know when they did it during Star Wars, when we got Princess Leia there.
Yeah.
Like the second I saw her, I got so sad and it took me out of the movie. I forgot I was watching Star Wars because then I started talking about Carrie Fisher. So I'm afraid that I'm going to stop thinking about the Black Panther and start thinking about Chadwick because I think a lot of people, especially with his passing, did a deeper dive into who he was as a person. And you found out, man, this guy was not only was he this fantastic performer, he's this fantastic human being too. So it would be neat. I'm not saying don't do it, but it does run that risk of taking you out of the movie. But if it's so fucking good, maybe you can get back in. If you watched, it's been a long time, but there was a movie, Beowulf. If you remember, it's a famous story, Beowulf, and everybody was animated in it, but it was Angelina Jolie and it was whatever. It was weird, but you got so used to it, it became really fucking cool. So
yeah.
It could happen.
All right, fair enough. David Hero, Universal Championship on the line. Roman Reigns, Jey Uso.
There's a better chance of Shane Helms voting for Donald Trump than Jey Uso beating Roman Reigns. You know what I mean? It's just like
no chance.
There's no chance. And I look at it like this. Roman Reigns is Thanos. He's going to collect all of the stones. He's going to have Thanos' children. It'll be Roman Reigns' children. All of the Samoans, the Usos, are all going to fall back in line behind him and be his warriors, his protectors. I still believe that the money match is Roman Reigns against The Rock. And then that's when The Rock can play the role of Jesus Christ and put himself on a cross and forgive us of all of our sins, and everyone gets to go free. But yeah, that's exactly what's Yeah, well, but I mean, hey, we're telling a story, right? So let The Rock be the savior to save all the slaves, which would be the Usos.
Okay.
Shane Helms did not say that.
Damian Nelson also did not say that. In
What
fact,
did I say that was wrong? We're telling a
picking
story.
Roman Reigns in that matchup. Well, that is a safe pick.
Okay, hold on a second. Whoa, hold on a second. You don't think that if Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso both say I quit and then start calling Roman Reigns the tribal leader, he doesn't have some type of power and control over him, or they're just always going to fall back in line behind him?
No, I think that could very well be a possibility. That's what I was talking about, that he joins them. That's what I meant with the whole Wakanda thing, that he joins them. Now he's the big chief and they have to follow him because of that. No, that definitely could happen. And but I don't know if Rock comes in and saves the day, because if he saves the day, he's going to leave.
Yeah, but just like Jesus Christ did, he left also. He'll be fine.
Was the day saved? That's a weird analogy because I feel like the day hasn't been saved.
That is WWE Hell in a Cell, which is tomorrow night on pay-per-view and the WWE Network. There are more matches. We're not going to talk about them because actually we're going to take a different
I'm just not sure being murdered is saving the day. Damien, can you help me out?
I absolutely can. We are going to and we are going to talk about Halloween Havoc, the resurrection of Halloween Havoc, coming this Wednesday, part of NXT on USA. But before we get there, as you know, in pay-per-view events, points are scored in the PWR Fantasy Draft. Let's go now to the man they call Meathead, your favorite person, David Hero, to tell us where the standings are in the draft and what's at stake with Hell in a Cell tomorrow.
Hello again, I'm the man they call Meathead, and this is a PWR Draft Update. Now, coming up this weekend is the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, and it will be hell to pay for the rest of the PWR Draft as they continue to attempt to catch up to me in this draft that I dominate so much. Here's the current totals, brought to you by the accounting firm at Dewey, Cheatham & Howe. I lead with 1,680 points. Dave Hero in second place, 1,425. Damian Nelson still in third, 1,250. Drew Baydala at 1,020. And Linda Kay bringing up the rear at 930. Now, there's 3 specialty matches that are going to happen, 3 Hell in a Cell matches for the pay-per-view this Sunday. There's also a Jeff Hardy and Elias match. More to come as of this taping. That's what we have. So, coming up this Sunday, Hell in a Cell. Lots of points on the line. And don't forget to check out PWR Today, Monday through Friday, with myself and the rest of the PWR family for the PWR Draft on the Man They Call Me Dad. Hey, thanks for stopping by.
And there you have it. I'm still in the lead, firmly in the PWR Fantasy Draft, and my lead will continue with dominance tomorrow at Hell in a Cell.
You dominate that poll. Go right ahead.
So after that, though, it will be Halloween Havoc, the resurrection of one of the greatest WCW brands of pay-per-view, and it will be from NXT on Wednesday night. And this is going to be tricky. So we're not going to necessarily book it, but I want to talk about your thoughts on the card as we know it, because the stipulations will change what could happen in the matchups, because 2 of the big matchups are spin the wheel, make the deal. And let me share with you guys what those stipulations are in those scenarios. So when you spin that wheel and you make that deal, several things can happen, and they are as follows. Are you ready?
Hit it.
A coal miner's glove on a pole match, a blindfold match, which of course won't be anywhere near the greatness that was Jake the Snake Roberts versus Rick Martel, a casket match, the Chamber of Horrors. That's an option on the spin the wheel, make the deal. A biker's chain match, a buried alive match, the Devil's Playground match, a boiler room brawl, Shotzi's Choice, seems a bit skewed there, Weapons Wild, Trick or Street Fight. I actually wouldn't mind seeing that. And also...
I love watching Tricks fight.
And also a TLS, which is Tables, Ladders, and Scares. So those are the potential stipulations. There are 2 matches where the wheel will be spun and a deal will be made. And that will be first for the NXT Women's Championship, as Io Shirai will defend against Candice LeRae. We're not booking it, but your thoughts on the match and what stip might work best for those 2?
You know, for me, any stipulation I think just goes into Candice LeRae's favor. For me, I think Candice LeRae has to leave Halloween Havoc as the champ. I thought she was going to win it at the last pay-per-view. It didn't happen. But, right now, I think Candice LeRae, they got to go with her.
Shane, your thoughts. Which stipulation works best for Candice LeRae versus Io Shirai?
Shit, I can't even remember half the ones you just said.
There are a lot. And I think the
Can you run down them real quick? Again.
Yes, absolutely, because they're fun to say. It's a coal miner's glove on a pole match.
All right, that's a no.
That would be an epic scientific brawl. A blindfold match.
No. That would be the match. That would be the match the girls would have.
Those matches suck.
Casket match.
You need those because you got a point in the crowd. Chairs, and you don't really have the crowd. That's the only way you can do those.
They do have 100 people there plus the virtual crowd.
Yeah, I guess.
Casket match, a Chamber of Horrors match. Which remind me, what was that? I remember it from WCW, but wasn't that?
That's where Abdullah the Butcher got electrocuted, ain't it?
Oh my! So that's a joke. Okay.
Yeah, that's probably just a joke.
A biker's chain match.
Okay.
A buried alive match.
Okay.
A Devil's Playground match, which also I have in my memory but can't find specifically. What was that one was that WCW as well?
I don't remember that.
Dave? I remember it.
No, I don't.
No? Okay. Boiler
you know what? Well, I think that's when you were in New Orleans last time.
That was more of the Trick or Street Fight. A Boiler Room Brawl is also an opportunity. Okay. Shotzi's Choice, so I guess she gets to pick whichever she wants. A Weapons Wild match. It's Shotzi, of course, the host of the show. A Weapons Wild match, the Trick or Street Fight is talked about, and then the Tables, Ladders, and Scares match. I fear they're going to pick one of those last 2 just to be funny.
Yeah, the weapon. I don't know. It might be the weapons one. That way they can just get a little bit more creative and do stuff like that. I feel like I'm hoping that Johnny Gargano gets the Buried Alive match. I think that'll pay off that promo so well if he ends up still getting the Buried Alive. But I would go with weapons with those two.
Okay.
And like Dave said, I feel like Candice, this will give a good out for Io Shirai. If it's not a wrestling match that she loses because of weapons or something like that. That kind of protects the champion a little bit. She's still the wrestling machine that hasn't lost a wrestling match. And Candice has a background in some of that. She has a little bit more violent background than her NXT career has allowed to show. She's a little ass kicker.
Well, the other matchup where the wheel will be spun and a deal will be made, spin the wheel, make the deal. Johnny Gargano, as you mentioned just a moment ago, goes up against Damian Priest, the North American champion. Which stipulation do you think might apply best in this matchup, David Hero?
You know, as much as I would love to see the Buried Alive match, like Shane said, for the payoff, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if it's a boiler room brawl match.
Huh. Okay.
That was Mankind, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think these guys will get the tables. I think the
Tables,
the lady,
scares.
Yeah, whatever the scares means. I think they'll get the tables. And Damian Priest might be NXT's biggest star right now. I know Finn Balor seems like he is a little bit of a bigger name because of his history, I guess, being a Universal Champion. But man, especially that promo in NXT this week, Damian Priest is kind of just on a tear. He's had just so many good matches recently, such a good run. And so I see Damian Priest coming out, retaining, and you keep running with that guy. Johnny Gargano has really won me over. I mean, his wrestling's always been good, but the promos that he's done recently, and like I said, the one last week just fucking killed me. I don't know if I think putting a championship on him right now, we're going to lose that character. And I want to see that character. We know he can put on good matches. He put on a million of them, but that was the most entertaining promo that NXT did last week. So I don't want to lose that particular Johnny right now.
Fair enough. There is another match, which Shane, I think you're going to be very excited about. And it is not a spin the wheel, make the deal. It is a Haunted House of Terror match. That will be Cameron Grimes versus Dexter Loomis.
Yeah, man, I'm interested in that, but unfortunately, I feel like that's Dexter's wheelhouse. I feel like that's a match he has to win. If you got a psychopath, but he loses in a psychopath situation, is he really the psychopath? He's kind of like how we talked about EC3 in whatever match that he was in. Dexter Loomis is in that same situation. I feel like he has to win that. And Cameron Grimes is so good that he'll tear the house down. This will be entertaining. He'll lose. I don't think it'll hurt him. He'll be fine. If he wins, it's going to be good for him, of course. But if you're going to keep going forward with Dexter Loomis, especially in this situation, I think this is where he has to shine.
And Cameron Grimes, I think no matter what, the way his character has developed and just his charisma he has, he's going to be even more over if he loses this match than if he wins it.
Yeah, if he puts in a stellar performance, which he will, there'll be some crazy spots. There'll be some creativity involved, and he's going to come out looking better even in defeat, which is a perfect scenario. One guy goes over, one guy gets over.
And over the course of the last two broadcasts, talking about Bound for Glory, talking about Hell in a Cell, talking about now Halloween Havoc, that scenario has come up a lot about the loser being somewhat of the winner in several contests that we talked about. That's a good place to be, it seems.
Yeah. What you don't want to do is lose and look even worse. You don't want that.
So let me ask you this. Is there a cinematic opportunity in any of these matchups? David, you mentioned Boiler Room Brawl. It seems like that might be an obvious one. But will we go back to the movie house, the film house, if you will?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with the Dexter Loomis Cameron Grimes match, that one has to be.
Dude, they got to do something. You know how in all those stupid 80s horror movies where the people would be running and Jason Voorhees is just walking, but every time they turn around, he's right there. Like, hey, this motherfucker can teleport? Like, how is it? They got to do something like that with Dexter. Like, Cameron Grimes is trying to get away, but every time we turn around, there he is. And I would almost do the Halloween music,
Is there
whatever
a
that.
line? Is there a line though they could cross, Shane? Meaning, does it become too ridiculous if they were to do something like that?
Oh, please.
No, I don't think WWE has cared about that line in a long time. They,
Fair.
you know, they welcome that line. Bring it. We'll step over that shit on purpose. You know, they want to be as entertaining as they can be and memorable as they can be. And there's just a lot of creative stuff, like a haunted house match or whatever with Dexter Loomis. Like
House of Horrors?
House of Horrors. Whatever. You saw what they did with the Fiend and all that kind of crazy shit. They could do a lot of cool stuff there. You know, but are they going to? I don't know, but the potential's there.
Well, it is Halloween Havoc Wednesday night from NXT. Does this mean both of you are going to be watching NXT live instead of AEW this upcoming Wednesday night?
I'll be watching everything.
Yeah, man.
I'm a multitasker.
But
I got 3 monitors right here.
Oh, okay. So that is Halloween Havoc on Wednesday, and tonight it is WWE. I'm sorry, tomorrow night it is WWE Hell in a Cell. So
I'm like Ozymandias at the end of Watchmen. If you guys remember that, that's for my comic fans, not you guys. Nothing. Okay.
I can't. I mean, after you've literally scolded me for my challenges with Wu-Tang Clan, and I'm not going to talk pop anymore with you.
I had a couple pop. Yeah, pop. Yeah. I had a couple of days to forget that, and now you had to bring it back up.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us on this special edition of the Pro Wrestling Report. And thank you for all of you who tuned in as well over the course of the weekend. If you haven't seen all of our broadcasts, this is our 3rd one this week. You can join us on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/C/PWR360. Just search for Pro Wrestling Report on YouTube and you'll find it there. Also on Facebook, become a friend of ours on Facebook on our Facebook page, and follow us on Twitter at PWR360 on Twitter. Want to thank our great partners who made this show possible. Collar and Elbow brand being the first and foremost. And Dave, why don't you tell the world what you're wearing tonight?
I am wearing the Road Warrior Animal Joe Laurinaitis special edition shirt. Go to collarandelbowbrand.com. Use promo code PWR360 and save some money and get some great gear.
And Shane, who you be wearing?
Collar and Elbow brand. I think this is an homage to the Nasty Boys. Am I wrong about that?
No, I think you're right.
Okay, because sometimes I know the one I wore last week I thought was an homage to Dolph Ziggler, and I didn't get any clarification on that, but I felt like it was. But yeah, this is kind of an homage to the Nasty Boys. collarandelbowbrand.com. Do-rag not included.
All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you. And thank you for joining us all over the world. We will see you again this week when we are live again with the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime. Until then, for Shane, for Dave, this is Damian saying thank you so much for tuning in. And